Questioner, you mentioned in the last session the concept of fasting for removing unwanted thought forms. Can you expand on this process and explain a little bit more about how this works? Ra, I am Ra. This, as all healing techniques, must be used by a conscious being, that is, a being conscious that the ridding of excess and unwanted material from the body complex is the analogy to the ridding of mind or spirit of excess or unwanted material. Thus the one discipline or denial of the unwanted portion as an appropriate part of the self is taken through the tree of mind down through the trunk to subconscious levels where the connection is made, and thus the body, mind, and spirit. Then in unison, express denial of the excess or unwanted spiritual or mental material as part of the entity. All then falls away in the entity, while understanding, if you will, and appreciating the nature of the rejected material as part of the greater self. Nevertheless, through the action of the will purifies and refines the mind-body-spirit complex, bringing into manifestation the desired mind complex or spirit complex attitude. Questioner, then would this be like a conscious reprogramming of catalyst? For instance, for some entities catalyst is programmed by the higher self to create experiences so that the entity can release itself from unwanted biases. Would this be analogous then to the entity consciously programming this release and using fasting as the method of communication to itself? Ra, I am Ra. This is not only correct but may be taken further. The self, if conscious to a great enough extent of the workings of this catalyst and the techniques of programming, may through concentration of the will and the faculty of faith alone cause reprogramming without the analogy of the fasting, the diet, or other analogous body complex disciplines.
Today's video is on fasting, and I've been a proponent of fasting for about a year now, and I've done various different methods that I wish to detail for you. So, in the past year or so, I've been working as an endoscopy technician, and with this, I'm in procedures of colonoscopies, and I get to see what it looks like when people overconsume, and this consumption leads into a form of paste of sorts that clog people's pipes, to say the least. And this has inspired me to commit to about once a week a 24-hour fast. And with this, I have found that through ways that are unclear to me, an increased level of gratitude, of appreciation, of self-reflection, and of faith. I have given thanks during these times of limited intake for all the meals that I've taken for granted. And I can't help but think and feel about how simply setting my mind to the commitment of not eating for 24 hours felt like a spiritual journey in and of itself. And so with this, for doing that for quite some time, I decided to commit myself to a 72-hour fast. Decided to skip the 48 hours for who knows why, but yeah, 3-day fast, that's something that I was inspired to do back during COVID about 2 years ago. And I've now done about 2, maybe 3 of them in total, and each one feels like an absolute journey. And at the time, I really do consider my life as before the fast and after, as it's almost a new chapter in every sense of the way. And so I completely understand and vibe with what Ra is saying here about how fasting is a complete transformation of the mind, body, and spirit. And it's talked about in all religions, all sects, all beliefs, all what have you. And ultimately, just taking the conscientious break from routine brings about clarity in unforeseen ways. And so I challenge you all to skip a meal, see what happens. Don't do so because you want to starve yourself, but do so because you want to embrace change in your mind, body, and spirit, and do so from a place of unconditional self-love and respect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.